Quick one, man. First and foremost, all praises be to Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well, and sincerity taught us this truth. And Shalawam to the Lord told for elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. It's your brother Yerami Kazak back with hopefully another edifying lesson through the spirit and power and strength of Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi. This will be a quick hit. No Dominion, no Rulership, which is basically talking about on this side of the timeline, right? And understanding it, man, feeling no sovereignty, right? No power. Like, we know who we are, but we don't have that power. We don't have that authority. You know what I'm saying? So first and foremost, it starts where? In our household. Let's go to Jeremiah 31:22. How long will thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahawah hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. And compass meaning to surround, right? To be all around, you know, to where you see Eve overtaking, to overtake, right? In every aspect, you know, finances, jobs, right? When I was in the military, man, one of the main reasons I got out is because Eve, wicked Eve, tribe of what was she, man? She was Simeon, right? Dominican female, and she was extremely evil, extremely wicked, trying to make my life a living hell, and she was ruling over me, right? You know, being a supervisor, I was E5, she was E6, where, you know, I had more, it should have been where, you know, I've been in there a couple years, 7 years, 6 years, where it's like a brother would have been cool, but this female, she had like an authority complex or whatever, so where she wanted to assert her authority over me, and just because I didn't want to continue in the military, she tried to make my life a living hell. So that's one of the main reasons, you know, I got out of the military, because I could see, and I didn't even know this scripture at that point in time, but I could see it now looking back, where this woman had compassed me. She was over me. All right, you go back to our time, how it's supposed to be. Our women would never be in the military, but now, you know, in this nation, which is upside down and backwards, we are forced to serve alongside of women, females, who, you know, any given time could be on their cycle and be acting extremely emotional. All right, so approaching decisions with emotions first, you know, in that type of way. And we ain't supposed to be effeminate, but a woman is her position to be effeminate, to be feminine, you know, to move in that type of way. So let's get another scripture. This is Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to error, and destroy the way of thy paths. So the children that rule over us is talking about these heathen nations, these other nations such as Chinese, Japanese, you know, Elam, Indians, Ishmaelites, right? Ishmael. You have all these different type of nations. Edom being the chief, the one, you know, ruling over us, oppressing us. They are children. They don't have the ways of the laws, you know, they don't have the laws, commandments, and statutes. They don't apply them. So their mindset is limited. They are children. They move as children. They don't have that understanding. We are what? We are adults in the sense of the, you know, being in the scriptures and having that understanding, having that wisdom to go forth. And when we are in authority, when we are in rulership, the people are going to what? Rejoice. But now that children rule over us, what do the people do? The people mourn. All right? Shalawam, Malak, Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Barak, Ahtham in your household. So we are in a position of, really it's a position of humbling us, because we have these children oppressing us, ruling over us. Furthermore, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to error, and destroy the way of thy paths. So if you are led by a woman, right, it's going to destroy you. It's going to lead you into error, right? Because of Job 39 and 17. Let's go there. Because the woman is what? Deprived of wisdom. And that does not mean that every woman is ignorant or stupid, but at the end of the day, she has less rulership and has less wisdom than a man would have in that position, right? So this is Job 39 and 17. Because power hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. Because he's not dealing directly with the woman, he's dealing directly with who? The man. So the order structure has been flipped upside down. So a man, when you come into this truth, it vexes you in that point of you don't have dominion, right? Even though your woman may be, fairly, she might be hospitable and you could tolerate her and all that, but still, it's not full dominion. It's not 100%. You know what I'm saying? The brother said, Jezebel, yeah, good example of a woman leading you to destruction. Khan. And that king, I believe it was Ahab, was a simp to Jezebel, right? And he allowed her to manipulate, and she was basically ruling the kingdom, man. She was ruling the kingdom. So that's not how it's supposed to be. If you look at the righteous women of our people, such as Deborah, which all these wicked women try to use Deborah, and really, she gonna be like, why y'all lying on my name, right? They try to use Deborah to say that they can do what, but what did Deborah do? She was righteous, and she what? She was with Barak to put him in a position to be a king, right? She did not overstep her position, such as also Esther with Mordecai, right? A support figure to place him into position to do what he's supposed to do. So these women, righteous women, did not overstep their position. They knew that they are support roles, supporting cast, right? The same with Judith, the same with Susanna, right? You have many women of the scriptures that are, righteous women that are good examples of righteous women. And as the brother put, you have Jezebels, right? You got a lot of examples of women that are extremely wicked, you know what I'm saying? And you have, man, you can look around you. Shoot, I saw a couple Eves on the way over here, right? But let's say you got a righteous woman. Understand, it's still demons on her. It's still demons that's festering in her, that's going to be manipulating her, that's going to mess with her, right? Where she may have certain outbursts and stuff like that, and that's showing you don't have complete dominion over that woman. Well, I'm sure brothers that's married up in here, we can all say it's arguments here and there, maybe, right? Here and there, it be like that, and that shows that we don't have dominion or true sovereignty or true rulership in that position, right? Now, a righteous woman is always gonna heal and, hey, you're the man, I'm trying to please you, etc., etc. But it's gonna be minor disputes and things of that nature because of this flesh, because of the way that this society is set up, because we are forced to pay bills, and that's all out of wax anyway. Having somebody wake up at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and go punch in a clock, that's wrong. That's showing you, let's go to Micah 2 and 10, that is what? It's no rest. As a matter of fact, we'll start at Micah 2 and 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. Esau Edom, the so-called YT man, does evil just because it's in his grasp. He can do it. This is a guy that, he'll unalive you just because it's in his power. It's no benefit to him. He just wants to do it because that's how wicked and, just corrupt he is. He poisons the food. He doesn't care if his own people suffers, right? That takes you all the way back to him, for a morsel of meat, selling his whole bloodline off. He didn't care. So he puts his carnal thoughts over spiritual thoughts, because that birthright would have been spiritually his, but it was already prophesied to go to Jacob, right? So that situation was already bound to happen, because this individual is a very carnal individual. If you look at going back to these children that oppress us, they are very carnal, right? They can't see the spiritual aspect of everything, where they are being controlled and manipulated, right? Because a man's goings is of Yahawah. So they can think in whatever they thoughts. They can think that their houses shall continue, right? They can name the lands that they conquer after their names. They can, say that they going to Mars and leaving the atmosphere and all of that. It's not gonna happen. All right, as the scriptures say, they dig into the earth, and He gonna bring them back up. They try to escape, and He's gonna knock them back down. So that's carnal. They don't understand this is a spiritual thing that's going on. And, well, in a sense they do, because they know who we are, right? And that's why in Revelations, the 11th chapter, or 11:11, they're with great fear, because we're back on our feet. As you about to see, brothers, Camp Day brothers is what? On them corners, man. Putting fear into these Edomites and into these heathen nations. Because these elites of these heathen nations know exactly who we are, because they remember that time frame. If they go back in the records, they remember King David, they remember King Solomon. All right, it can't be forgotten about, okay? Because they keep history. All right, so let's keep it going. Verse 2, and they covert fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. That's going on to this very day. Okay, you are being oppressed. A lot of us cannot trace our people going back centuries and centuries and centuries. But you got Esau over here. He can trace himself going back to the dukes of whatever. The duke this and duke that, right? Going back to, oh yeah, we was Dutch in this country and boom, boom, boom. Okay? We can't do that, because they have oppressed our heritage. We can probably go back, I can go back, what, about four or three generations. That's it. Then it's like, yeah. Okay, well, my people was in Ireland. Pop side in Scotland. Okay. That's all I know. So our heritage has been oppressed. We don't know. And that's part of being in the curses, right? You also got where we would be fatherless. So some brothers don't even know you just go by your characteristics to know your tribe. You wouldn't even know because of that curse, to be fatherless, right? So we're in a low position. Going to Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. You got what Jake are set up in this establishment, set up in this nation, and they really think just because they got a nice 9-to-5, they got a nice little job, they got a nice salary coming in, they got a white picket fence and a house, 2 cars, wife, kids, vacations, all that they're in a rest. But you still have to constantly pay taxes, pay tribute. You still have to pay property taxes. You still have to pay to your captors, right? You do not have a rest. And then everything is defiled. This is why it's destroying you with a sore destruction. The society is defiled. The philosophy is defiled. The understanding is defiled. It's no truth on here. And at the end of the day, the topic of the lesson, you have no true dominion and you have no true rulership. We were not put on this planet being Israelites, right? All right, the princes of the power, we were not put on this planet to be slaves. We are not. Let's get I'm gonna get one more scripture, or maybe a couple. Just flowing. And this is Ecclesiastes 10:7. I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. Now, who are those servants? These heathen nations, once again. What do those horses represent? Power. So they're in the power seat. They're in the government positions. They're making the decisions. They have the ability to raise your taxes and lower your taxes. As Nero himself has what? He's raised the taxes for anybody making under 200,000. And he's basically kept the taxes the same for, the oligarchs, the so-called rich, right? The people in a power seat that's sitting on them horses. So people at Amazon, people at Facebook, YouTube, the ones that's really running it, their taxes don't change. They make more change while we have to pay more to them, to their establishment, man, because they're in the power seat. You see how you're being manipulated, but you would have Jake here talking about, yeah, I'm rest, I'm in peace. I take 2 vacations a year. Okay, Jake, guess what? That's going to end. Well, for those type of Jake though, guess what? They gonna take the C here, and they gonna continue to take their little 2 vacations a year, right? On your little social credit score system, you're gonna be surveilled. You're gonna make sure you align with society. You're not gonna talk out. Everything that's going on is setting you up. How TikTok is about to change in September, the guidelines and standards where you can't actually, the news will be suppressed. I'm gonna do a lesson on it, Yahawah later tonight, but you won't be able to truly speak out. And we already see certain protests and things like that being suppressed, right? So who has the true dominion and who has the true rulership? Let's go to Job. Oh, matter of fact, finishing that up, those princes are talking about us, the Israelites. We are walking as servants upon the earth. So we are in a low position while they're in the power seat on those horses. Now let's go to Job 9:24. And it reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So who's the wicked? Malachi 1:4. All right, the border of the wicked, that's Esau, Edom. The ones that do the wickedness on this earth. The ones, if you take them all the way back to the Garden of Eden, being that serpent, which is a man, which is indeed a warlock, because they move in sorcery. All right, they use spells and manipulate and contracts. You ever deal with an Edomite? In they contracts, man, they got a couple pages just to do one thing. And I'm like, dang, you got to read it. They'd be like, read it over. You ain't got enough time to read all that shit over. It'd be some, they use these words to trick you and manipulate you in their contracts, right? So that's a form of sorcery. All these fast food chains, which brothers should not be messing with. It's a form of sorcery. We was going into that, and Yahawah, I got to do a lesson on that as well to go deeper into it. But the logos are set up with certain colors to attract your subconscious. Like McDonald's with the red and the yellow. That red, like a stop sign, is going to attract your subconscious. Wendy's, the same way. Chick-fil-A, the same way. Popeyes, the same way. So you don't know. And then when you get there and you eat the food, guess what? It's all type of chemicals in the food that are addictive, that have you coming back. So you be like, man, you get a craving for, a sandwich, and it's terrible for you, but you got to come back because it's sorcery being placed on you. But you can't understand it. It's chemical. These are what they call them, potions, man. That's a form of potions. All right? It's manipulating your body to come back to that source. And the only way you can get rid of that, bro, is fasting, praying, and, changing your diet as you're supposed to do when you come into this truth. So that's part of the wicked, getting the earth. You got McDonald's all over this planet. You got Coca-Cola, an extremely terrible drink, all over this planet, right? When I was in Japan, you had KFC, you had Popeyes, right, on the base. But you go out of the base. Japanese people actually care about their food, so their establishments is far better than what was on the military base. You had more crime on the military base than in the entire country of Japan. So that lets you know this is the wicked, because wherever they go, it's extremely wicked, right? He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Who is the judges? Right? The Israelites, the saints. We shall judge the earth. We shall judge the angels. So we are the judges. Our faces are covered, right? Most definitely for that 350 years from 1619 to 1969, right? We were in hardcore slavery. Now we are still in slavery, but it's not as hardcore in the sense of physical, but it's more so mental, psychological, spiritual. You still got our people calling on a false god, false deity, Jesus, man. All right, and then if they're not calling on that, they calling on a false god, Yahweh, and Yeshua, or Yahusha, or Jehovah. All right, failing to come to the true names of Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi. So that's a spiritual form of slavery. So once again, who has dominion? Who is setting you up to be in all that? The Edomites, They're setting you up under their powers, under their ways, under their wickedness. They want you to deceive just like they deceive. They want you to go off just like they go off. I'm going to get one more scripture, then I got to wrap it up. This is Jeremiah 50 and what is it? 7? Yeah. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversary said, we offend not, right? Because they have sinned against Yahawah, the habitation of justice, even Yahawah, the hope of their fathers. So if they get you with the yogurt, they put the pork in the yogurt, they put pork in ranch. They put the pork in the ranch, they put the pork in the yogurt, they put the pork in the jello. You giving your kids jello, they committing sins that young. I eating the pork. Okay? They put the pork in the gummy worms. They put the pork in the Cheetos, Doritos. Why you need pork in Doritos? I don't know. But this is what they do. Because they want you to offend. Therefore, they said we ain't do nothing. He was just committing sins. We didn't do nothing. He could have refused them Doritos. He could have refused this. But no, he offended against his power. So Esau sits back and counts on you to sin against the Most High, right? And if you're not diligent, as it says in Sirach 18 and 14, diligently seeking him, turning back and seeking that discipline, right? Then what are you going to do? You're going to be like, well, it doesn't matter. You know, pray over my food. That's what the pastor said. Well, the pastor was wrong, man. All right? What's unclean cannot be clean. You know, so just looking at the world, to summarize it all, looking at the world, look at how it floats, looking at the commercials where it's pushing sin, it's pushing, you know, man, you got PORN, which is $1 billion corporation. You got pork, which is on damn near every establishment. It don't even, you know, it's getting cooked everywhere. Baconators, double bacon with, double whopper with bacon, whatever, all this, it's everywhere, right? You got LGBTQ, they got their own month, right? So this wickedness is everywhere. It's flourishing because the wicked are ruling and the righteous are not ruling. So everybody is mourning because of that vibration that's being forced on the earth. It's oppression, man. All right. So with that being said, all praises be to Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone once again, and Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. I hope this has been an edifying lesson. I, as always, Kwam Yasharahla and a Bible ball to this wicked kingdom. May Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi destroy this bitch yesterday, man. Shalawam.